And welcome back to the Boundary Corner podcast with my partners Brian Siegler and Jonathan Talley. I'm Curtis Wilson, and this episode is brought to you by Dr. Jeremy Counts down at the Main Street Pharmacy in Blacksburg, your friendly neighborhood pharmacy, 301 South Main Street in Blacksburg. Fellas, it's been a rough weekend. How's everybody doing?
Still pissed.
I'm living.
Still
I woke
pissed.
up, the food tasted like shit, but I'm still here. So
Food tasted like shit, but you're still here. What?
food tastes bad after the loss, man.
Well, everything
That wasn't no
tastes bad
loss.
for a little while.
It was an ass kicking.
It was an ass whipping.
We got our ass drilled.
We got crushed by Louisville, which we are going to definitely get into tonight. Don't worry about that, y'all. We also are going to take a look at the Boston College game because this becomes a very pivotal game in the Hokies' chances of making it to a bowl this season. So we're going to talk about that, know the enemy, break down some of their players and some stuff. But before we get into all that tonight, let's talk about hoop season starting last night. Let's start with some bright spots. And let's start with the men's first as they take care of Coppin State, 155, just an absolute thrashing from beginning to end. And I don't know how much y'all got to see. It was a Monday night, things going on. We all got lives. What were y'all's takeaways from it? Brian, what was your first takeaway from it, man?
I mean, I like the depth I'm seeing so far. Like out the gate, I'm seeing a lot more depth. A little bit better in the front court, a little bit better in the back court too. So I think overall, I like what I'm seeing so far. I like the addition of Nickel, having an extra sharpshooter out there. You throw in Rex Steiner too. I mean, that's a good combo to have out there that can shoot the three. Nickel can kind of score from a bunch of different spots. So that's going to be a good off the bench 1-2 punch for us. Just kind of looking forward to see how they progress and gel as the season goes along.
What about you, Tal? I know you were at your son's game watching him hoop it up, but
Yeah.
obviously I'm sure you checked out highlights, did some reading, did some stat watching. What do you think?
Yeah, kind of like what Brian said. I mean, the depth on the team was a good thing. Looks like everybody who got in scored, which is always good. Of course, when you blow somebody out, so everybody got in, got to get the bucket. Team looks bigger. You got people coming off the bench with some size and depth, and you got some veterans. It's not just young players. When you seem to run a system like Mike Young, you got to have some veteran leadership because, you're not going to get 5 stars just coming in, ready to play. So having some of those players that are transferred in, veterans, have been, seniors or juniors, definitely helps, especially when you're trying to play for something like, getting into the tournament, or if you do get to the tournament, going deep into the tournament, having somebody who's kind of been there and seen some different things helps. So good balance of old and young players.
Yeah, I'm with y'all on both of that. And Brian, you mentioned him earlier. Me and Tally were talking about him. Tyler Nickel. There's a reason Tyler Nickel holds so many records here in the state of Virginia. There's a reason Carolina wanted him so bad. And the way he looked coming off the bench, I mean, his stat line last night was 4 for 9 from the field, 12 points. He grabbed 7 boards, had a block. And Tally, you said it just a second ago. We looked bigger. Bigger. Between him, Kid looked bigger than he did last year. We're going to get there, Eric. That's one of our buddies, Eric, there chiming in. Eric, we're going to get there. Got to give us a little while. Got a lot to talk about. We look bigger. We look more physical between Baran, Kid, obviously Padula, Collins, and Couture older, along with Poteet and Long. And I was telling Tally, I think for this team, I mean, it's great to see all 11 guys score that played last night. It's great to see that. It really is. But I sit here, and with the starting 5, as long as we can get something every game out of Poteet, Long, and Richtensteiner, along with Nickel, again, quality minutes. They ain't got to go out there and score 15 points a game, but it's go in there and be effective. The team can do a lot. But let's be realistic. Tally, you were looking up there. You were saying it's going to be on ACC Network. We did not get a test this early against a division, a Power 5 opponent, but we get to play South Carolina on Friday night. I don't know much about them. I'll be honest. If y'all, I'm sure David Cunningham's writing something up. But I think getting a test that early, what do you need to see from them Friday night, both of y'all?
I'll let Tally go.
Brian, go ahead. Well, I'll go. I mean, mainly for me, man, when it comes to basketball, I'm always like, I don't care about all the fluff on the schedule until you get to ACC play. When you talk basketball, when you get the conference wins or conference games, everything's a little bit different. Everything's a little bit more intense. So we have been starting the season kind of like you said, Curtis, with a lot of teams, and it looks like, oh, we're rolling. And then next thing you know, you hit some Power 5 type teams, and then you start to get into ACC play, and things just fall apart, or you start seeing the true team come out. So I don't know much about South Carolina, but I do know that they're South Carolina. They're an SEC opponent, and it's the second game of the season. So it's going to show you, a little bit. It's I don't want to say it's going to show you what team you have, but it's just good to see it early in the season. You know what I'm saying? For better or worse, you got something to build on. Because I feel like we were kind of riding high last year until we played with College of Charleston or somebody weird.
Yep.
And next thing you know, you start seeing some inefficient play in that loss and some things that people kind of took advantage of. So playing against a team that's probably, similar in size and skill. Again, don't know a lot about South Carolina, but, know they're probably going to have some size and some skilled players. It's going to show us kind of what we got for the year and where we can make adjustments and things like that.
What about you, Brian?
Yeah, I agree. I think this is going to kind of be that early test, kind of similar to what we saw from Penn State last year. Hopefully that's not a 40-minute grind fest like that game turned out to be. And then obviously, what we did against College of Charleston, like Tally was saying after that. So, but I think it's a good test. Like he said, there's going to be some size. They should have some decent guard play that we'll need to get used to as we get into conference play, because I think when we got into conference play last year, any team with guards, they really gave us some fits. We didn't show up the way we needed to defensively against those type of teams. So, and we're going to see better play on that front.
100%. And it's good South Carolina, but it's not just South Carolina, because then we got Boise. Boise was a tournament team last year.
Right.
Don't forget that. And then we play Auburn, who was a number 2 seed last year in the ACC SEC Challenge later on this month. So I think it's what y'all said earlier. Last year, it took 5 games, and then we played College of Charleston, who was a good team, who did make the tournament, if I don't recall, or they were one of the better teams in the SoCon, and that messed us up. Penn State wasn't that. There were no K team last year. Here we're probably going to get you're getting again a P5 in South Carolina, and then 2 teams that made the tournament. And Boise and Auburn over the last 5 years have made the tournament consistently. You know they're good teams, and there's your barometer. Go in and beat those 2 teams. Maybe we feel something different, but maybe not. All right, let's flip off that and let's go over to the ladies' side because they also played both in Castle. For those who are in Blacksburg, I mean, back-to-back games in Castle with the ladies, number 8 ranked, who take care of the High Point Panthers 94-55. And I mean, this similar to the men, this wasn't a game after the first half.
It didn't even feel that close because I mean they really jumped on them in that first quarter and just kind of rode it out after that. Liz was good as always. But having one extra shooter on the floor, they've got a shooter everywhere, and then they got Liz in the post. That's going to be hard because you can't double team Liz all the time like teams were doing last year.
Mm-hmm.
Liz is a monster, man. I mean, she's just I think she had 27-11, something like that.
Yeah.
It's just 12 or 17 shooting. It's like, Andretti back.
He's back.
I'm gonna have to get on. I'm gonna have to get on him later. Welcome back, Andretti. But yeah, Liz in the post, man, is gonna be a nightmare for most teams that they play. And every year is different. You know what I'm saying? Like during the summer, you're gonna get better. You're gonna jail. You're gonna get worse. Whatever. You can see it in LSU. LSU came out and got the heads beat in really in the first game. Colorado put it on them. So it's not just this team's gonna win it. You got to go play. So to see a star come out like she did against a inferior team and just go and dominate and do what she's supposed to do, that's what I expected, but it's good to see.
Yeah, I think she made her first 9 shots or something from the field.
Yeah, something crazy.
She went 12. She scored 27 points. I mean, that 27 and 11 was the stat line. But y'all make the point Brian, you made the point about having the additional shooters because you had Amore, you got King. And now you've got a few others that who can light it up. But take a look at Olivia Sumel's stat line. 20 minutes played. She only had a couple points, 4 points, grabbed 8 boards, blocked a shot. She's a 6'2". She's listed as a guard, but at 6'2", again, it's that whole piece of we needed more physicality, right? That's what lost us that LSU game was having the physicality. We wore down late. And between Michaud and her, they both grabbed 8 boards. That's big. That's big because the whole thing what that means is what you said. Kitley is a beast, and now Kitley doesn't have to go in and fight and claw all the time on the interior. We know she can do it, but there's some games it's going to be like, we got to save her because we're going to need those baskets in the fourth quarter. Now they've got – you want to talk about a monster game. 8 versus 2 in Charlotte Thursday night versus Iowa and Caitlin Clark. I mean, I was discussing with Brian here. You gonna watch the NFL game? You gonna watch the ladies hoops games because
man, fuck the NFL game.
Huh?
Fuck the NFL game.
It's Bears Panther. If you're not a fan of either team, it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter unless you're gambling or maybe you got somebody in fantasy on there. You just want to see Khalil Herbert run or something,
right?
But I mean, you want to talk about barometer? That's going to tell the story for both those teams real early in the season,
right?
Yeah, we're going to see how much that mix up is working for this team. Obviously, I think we have a little more gelling to do than they probably do, just with some of the holes that we're plugging.
True,
but when you look at it, having Liz in the post, having Amore that can get her own shot, and then having 3 other 3-point shooters on the team that can stretch the floor and give Liz those one-on-ones. You know what? I think we're going to give them some problems. I know Caitlin Clark is a beast, but I think we're going to give them some problems.
We'll see. And obviously definitely going to have a home court advantage down in Charlotte. Tons of Hokies. If y'all hadn't seen it, a bunch of people in the Charlotte area are going to be there. It's not a long drive from Blacksburg either, so I expect that to be a Hokie-leaning crowd. All right, one more thing to talk about before we get into football here, and let's talk about probably, I don't know, you can argue between women's hoops or men or wrestling, which is the bigger national power right now. Wrestling opened up this week with the Southeast Open, which was down in the New River Valley area. Y'all know I had to text up our buddy David Fuqua. Me and him got back and forth because I knew it was happening. I knew he's paying attention at it like crazy. 5 Hokies took wins in it. 4 of the freshman or sophomore variety. He explained to me in this tournament every year, you have your basic or you have all the weight classes, but there's also a freshman and sophomore stuff so that the younger guys get out there and compete. We took 4 of those. Caleb Henson, who's obviously a beast upon himself, made podium last year at the national finals. He won his bracket. Sam Fisher, who was, I believe, a younger guy last year, he finished second. The only guy that beat him was a number 3 ranked player or number 3 ranked wrestler in his weight class in the country for Oregon State. So that's a good start for that kid. What Dave's a little bit concerned about, what Fuchs a little bit concerned about, is Sam Latona got knocked out in the semis. He finished 3rd place. Sam obviously did some big stuff last year. But I asked him, I was like, well, how do you feel? He's like, overall, this is a really good showing. And for what we did, especially with the younger guys coming up. And then I asked him about Ohio State because that's a big one Friday night in Castle. I'm sure Castle will be packed. I'm not sure if it's on ACC Network or anything. But the explanation was this, and I'm going to read it here from David. Early in the season, wrestling will not put stress on players. If you are slightly nicked, don't matter. Get healthy. So what he said this could be, and I know I'm doing a lot of talking here. I literally got, me and him had a conversation for like 20 minutes. I got a whole bunch of stuff here. For wrestlers, March matters. Getting there matters too. You've got to win. You can't just sit out all season. But if you're banged up, there ain't no need to go out there and stretch your body. Stress it out. What he did say, and this is his opinion, and we're going to try to have David on sometime between now and the end of the year just to give us some highlights on it, but it's the deepest we've ever been. We're 4th in the country right now in most of the polls. And what he said, Friday night, hodgepodge of guys, only fully healthy guys going. I know, Tally, you were joking in here. You don't know much about wrestling. You said you've watched it.
We probably need to go get some of them wrestling guys to get on the football team. They taking people down. We wasn't fucking tackling nobody. So we might need to get some of them wrestlers to come out here and show us how to tackle or just put some uniforms on. So I that's the only part I know. Now I know a little about wrestling, but I didn't get to watch any of the match. So that's why I was saying I didn't really pay attention to the first match, but I will be tuning in on Friday, checking some of that out.
Definitely paying attention to it.
Oh, yeah.
Brian, you got anything on this? I know you did one season of wrestling.
I did. One season of wrestling in high school.
Helps with leverage, right?
What's that?
Helps with leverage, right?
It does. It helps with conditioning, too.
Yeah.
If you can make it through a wrestling season, football season ain't nothing, man.
We might have Fuqua and get Jason on. Our music guy officially, he made a video today. His gig season's over because he's got to start assistant wrestling coaching this week.
Okay. So
we're going to definitely be paying attention to it again with all the stuff we've got going on.
I let him slide that it was country roads. I let it slide. I
That's
did
a song about Virginia. So.
I said you got a song that's mentioning West Virginia, written while driving through Western Maryland about geography of Western Virginia. So
it's true. John Denver was high as hell when he wrote that song, clearly. Not even a joke. All righty. Well, it was nice talking about some positive vibes from Hokie Nation, but we got to tell the truth Tuesday. Dun, dun, dun.
Here we go.
We need to have some sound effects. Because clearly when we have good times, we're going to show y'all at least a few highlights from the game. We need to have some sound effects. But let's tell the truth Tuesday. And boys, I mean, let's talk about what went well because, in my opinion, you name it, it probably didn't go well. What went well?
I got one thing.
All right.
One thing.
What's that?
The scoring streak continues.
Okay.
We didn't get shut out.
Didn't get shut out.
That's
true.
the only good thing I can pull out of that tape.
I'm proud of you for thinking of that because I didn't never even think of that. It's pretty
I didn't
good,
think
bro.
of it either. Didn't think of it.
Only thing that I had good that went good was I didn't go to fucking Louisville. I saved my money. I had a bad fucking feeling. I saved my money, kept that in my pocket, and I didn't take my ass to Louisville. Because you know how pissed I would have been if I would have went to that game and we got drugged like that. I would have been like Andretti. I would have been on here talking crazy.
Well, you also probably would have been hammered too with all that bourbon that was been flowing.
Oh yeah, yeah. I did.
Probably would have got on Space Saturday night, and you were on Space Saturday night.
Man, it would have been.
It would have been bad. All right, so
yeah,
hold on, real quick. Then, all right, so emotion. We're done with what went well.
Good.
Can we move on?
Yeah,
yes,
we're good. We're good. That's it.
That's it.
Tally saved money and we didn't get shut out.
We
That's
didn't get shut out. There you go, right there. So y'all, let's get to it because it ain't no sugarcoat. What went bad, and I'm gonna tell y'all, and y'all, we get into some of the technical stuff. The way I felt watching that game was we legitimately got outclassed every single phase. It felt like every single play of the game.
Yeah.
I think they had Connor Stallions on their sideline, man.
You saying they stealing plays?
It looked like it out the gate, man, didn't it?
Shit. Oh man, it was.
Well, look at the first play. I mean, but what do you think, Brian? What's some of the stuff that just went real bad, and why do you feel it went bad?
Pass protection was awful.
Pitiful.
And what they did was that they sent a lot of well-timed blitzes. They slanted into our uncovered and made them have to make a decision. We didn't do a very good job communicating and making those decisions, and we had free guys running at the quarterback way too damn often.
All right, Charlie.
Man, I don't even know where to start.
Just choose something and go. Because we got a big list here.
That's what I said. It's just whatever you think about went bad, man. It was just the main thing for me that I think went bad was just our game plan. I don't think that our game plan was well thought out. I don't know what the fuck we did last week, and I'm saying we as a collective, coaches, players, equipment staff, cheerleaders, the band, the Corps of Cadets, fucking Jeremy Jeremy, you got to do a better job of getting people Tylenol because it looked like we had fucking headaches out there. I don't know, but the game plan was totally not what I expected it to be, and we'll get to that a little bit later. But it was awful.
Since you brought Jeremy to this, I got to see Jeremy on Saturday just before kickoff.
Okay.
And he had a new ritual that he was trying out because he had learned apparently that when he doesn't hammer Jameson before a game and he's not hammered off his ass, we've started winning more. So he was drinking light beer and not Jameson at the bar.
Well, I'm glad we fucking lost for him drinking light beer. That's what happens. Get back on that Jameson. He'll go back shots all night. Oh, you got to start early. We play at 12 this week.
Oh, man. That man going to be in all sorts of trouble. Well, Callie, you made a point. I'm going to jump on it real quick here about the game plans. It didn't look good. But what always makes me more worried that, you know what, if they just scouted you good and you thought, hey, this is going to work and it doesn't work, I just felt like we were just slow to adjust on sides of the balls. And I know early that was some execution, right?
Mm-hmm.
It was them doing stuff. But Brian, you said it a few minutes ago, the Connor Stallions thing. They look like this is how we're going to attack.
Mm-hmm.
And it led to the bad pass protection, the ineffective run game. Tally, you texted us, and it's like, can we just run the quarterback?
Mm-hmm.
We finally did. It took to the middle of the second quarter.
Why?
Go ahead.
Why? No, it's just when I'm texting y'all, I'm saying we're watching the game. Honestly, I'm going to be very candid with what I feel.
Yes.
I feel like the coaching staff didn't believe we could win the game. Okay. So they said, we're going to go out and we're going to protect everybody that we can protect. I don't know if you had some people banged up. I don't know. Of course you do. It's football. But it's like they was like, drones, we got to protect you. We got the rest of these games that we can win. We just want to make sure that, we can get through these games. We can get to Boston College. We can get to back home. And we can get to UVA. So we start dropping back. No, that's not what we're good at. We haven't done that good all year. We start out by moving the quarterback, moving the pocket, running the quarterback. And like you said, we didn't do that till the second half. And then we start moving the ball. Tootin had 60 yards at halftime. And then we stopped going to what works. Again, I know they made adjustments. And Louisville's a good team. They're a little bit better than I anticipated them being. But I don't think they were 34-3 better than us.
No.
It's just game plan, execution, us coming out flat, looking scared, no life from coaches from what I can see on TV. It was just a lot of stuff, man. And it was disheartening to watch because we watch this team week after week, and we study and we go back and look at tape. That wasn't the same team that we've seen playing. And then people say, oh, well, we play different at home. Anyway, we was getting fucking fucked up at home for a long time. It ain't just like we've been a great home team. We won a couple of home games. We had started seeing progression. The team had started progressing every week. And people say, oh, well, we just beat up on bad teams. The bad teams was fucking us up. We've been getting beat by bad teams.
True.
So it's not an excuse. It's just you started seeing progression, and then we took a huge step back. You know what I'm saying? When that part was like very, very disheartening, and it just makes you angry to watch, man. It's like you don't want to go back and watch tape. You don't want to go back and because you see everything going wrong. I know Brian was probably like me when you go look at some of the steps and people crossing your face, and it's like we just looked lost. It was horrible.
They got punched in the mouth, and they just didn't know how to counterpunch.
Mm-mm.
And that's coaching staff, that's players, that's everybody. And I mean, when we look at it, like it was frustrating to watch because, from a game plan perspective, both script and adjustments, that's the worst game we've seen from Tyler Bowen since Rutgers.
Mm-hmm.
And really you could even go back to Purdue.
You want to go back to the last two seasons. That might have been the worst in the last two seasons.
It was bad.
Go back to last year and think. I don't think there was anything where it looked like they were completely ready for us, and we had no quick counters.
Mm-mm.
And then you had the procedural penalties, which I know both of y'all will say that happened early. It was loud there.
Yeah.
But that's also probably that confidence thing. Like, Brian, you said it numerous times. You jump because you know that guy's going to beat you.
Yeah, when you got start people start whooping on your ass and talking that shit to you, you start thinking about it and jumping off sides and getting scared and moving around. So it was a bad showing all around.
Yep. You're thinking about getting beat instead of thinking about doing your job.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
That's true. Now, a couple other things. I mean, defense, not a great game either. I mean, it was, we didn't finish. This was the first time, maybe Rutgers. Like, we didn't finish. Because in the Marshall game, we were finishing a few times. We just is what it is. We didn't finish. We only had one sack after 15 in the last two games. And then probably the most upsetting part to me watching it was the regression back on the run fits.
Mm-hmm.
Because even the Florida State game, they broke two. One was a bad fit. The other guy just beat us. But it had been since Marshall since we saw that, right?
Play after play.
Play after play.
Yeah.
And now, to our credit, we only gave up one huge run.
Right.
So maybe not a full regression, but what do you think about? I mean, don't even look at the
it was the small gashes, the ones that really kind of kill you too, because not only are you giving up yards, but you're staying on the field and all that stuff too. So you're getting worn down, and that's what we saw with the second half and how that score kind of ballooned on us a little bit, especially the way we kind of opened that second half. It felt like that second half opening score was kind of when every bit of life that was still left in the team kind of went away, right?
Yeah.
Like
Yep.
it just looked like they were going through the motions the rest of the way. And I mean, I get it, but I mean, it's still, a 3-score game. You turn around, you get a touchdown, you're right back in it. But
Right.
I think just confidence wise, they were shot at that point.
Yeah.
And I don't know how much of the run fit. Like I said, it still wasn't awful, but how much of that is Strowman not really playing a whole lot, and we might not have him this week too. So it's hard to tell if that's something that's going to be a symptom of that's creeping back on us for the rest of the year, or if that's just kind of a one-off because of who we were playing, because of who we didn't have available. We'll see. I'm hoping to see better this week at BC, but that doesn't inspire confidence.
No, man, it's just like we didn't have the. We can talk about coaching. We can talk about coordinators. We can talk about uniforms. The team didn't have no fight. Like I seen Louisville pushing our guys around. The fucking stupid ass commentator with the ugly haircut kept talking that shit. Oh, Louisville is hitting. They're hitting. Oh, I think Tootin was returning a kick and he got hit. He got popped or something, and they just made such a big deal out of it. But I seen none of our guys like bow up, fight back. Like we had been scrapping with people. Somebody get in our face, we push them off. Like, you know what I'm saying? We just didn't have none of that. We was getting hit, and it's just, everybody just kind of getting up. It was like just went in with no fight, no heart, no effort. So that is a player thing, but that's like Robbie was in here earlier talking. I think he said, sometimes that happens in coaching, but a coach has to see that and has to rally his troops. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, very true.
Stop helping them up. When you get somebody on the ground, leave them down there. Help your own teammates up. Like we in a dog fight. Be friends after it's over. We just didn't have the mindset. So I haven't seen that in a lot of games this year. Like that.
This is the game.
Yeah, like I haven't seen.
And I think let me flip to this real quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
That's something I'm guessing you weren't prepared for because the other 8 games we played all year, Rutgers. I'm thinking of the losses: Rutgers, Marshall, Purdue, Florida State. We fought those games.
You punched back at least.
That what kind of shocked you? Like, was that your big shock? Like, what are we doing?
Yeah, it was just the no fight, like you said, skipping over to what I wasn't prepared for. I was prepared for Louisville to be a good team, and even us talking, I said, I don't know if we win, but I didn't think we was going to get beat by 30 points. You know what I'm saying? I thought we would at least cover. I think that it was 10 points when we first started out. Yeah. So I thought, man, they may get us by 10. They may get us by 7, 8. No, wrong. It was nothing. And it wasn't nothing they did that was so – their number one receiver was out. They didn't do anything great. Curtis had something that kind of threw him by surprise, what he said he wasn't prepared for with the quarterback. So I'll let him talk about that and then go back on it. Well, so what'd you say about that?
Well, Brian looked at the tape, and Plummer was like a last option resort was to run Plummer. And Plummer had 5 for 25, and they were like one was an 11-yard run on like 3rd down, and it was just like, are you kidding? Then he got like 5 and 4 and 6, and it's just like you're sitting here, and it's just like I hated that because the expectation was he's not going to do anything with his legs. And I don't know if it was our aggressiveness, but they knew it, and they took advantage of it early. And what happens when a guy who doesn't runs a few times early? Mm-hmm. Everybody's eyes starts looking. They don't trust themselves.
But
what's he doing?
You know what it felt like to me? It felt like they watched our tape and said, oh, they got something that works. Yeah. We're going to do it. Yep. They looked at what their game plan was what I thought our game plan was going to be. Moving, not even saying that the quarterback has to run so much, but just that little bit of effectiveness that he had, like you said, started shifting people's eyes one way or the other and things like that. It is just, that's when the run fits get off. That's when we start having some problems. But that's what we've been doing. That's why people was having problems with us. We just didn't go to it.
It's true. Brian, what about you?
Yeah, the thing I'd really say is how badly we tackled in space. Like there was a lot of missed tackles, and we hadn't really seen that many missed tackles the last month and a half. So I wasn't ready for that. I was not expecting us to be that poor in our execution in the tackling. So
Right.
that's one of those things where, you know, a 3-yard gain becomes a first down, or a 3-yard loss becomes a 5-yard gain, and now they're, you know, on a good cadence for the down and distance, and they can have the full playbook at their disposal on second and third down. So that's what really frustrated me, is because coming off a game where we got off the field with regularity, we could not get off the fucking field.
No. We could not get off the field, and that was probably, again, very disappointing for us. But let's flip it, because like we went through the bad. We talked about it right at 20 minutes here about the bad. But what do we got to do better moving forward? And before we have these other 3 points, Tally, I jumped on the space where you were on with Don V making some points.
Mm-hmm.
And you got to talk about the road mentality thing, because it's an issue now.
Oh, yeah.
It is a serious issue. We are 1-9 under the staff.
Yep.
We are now 0-3 this year. No,
Mm-hmm.
0-4 this year. Right? 0-4? Yeah, 0-4. 0-4 this year. What has to change? Because I listened to you talk about 5 minutes. And
yeah. So real quick, for the people who weren't in on the space after the game, I was just talking about, you know, as an athlete, high school for me, it's much different from college, but I started there, so I'm talking about when you're home, you got certain rituals, you know, that's just for you being home. You know, for me, I came on the field, we warmed up, I would come out, just my, you know, my pants on, you know, my undershirt, my helmet. I always put my gloves on my mask, and I would walk the field, and my mom and grandma sat on the opposite side. They would sit on the opposite side, because at our field in high school, the visitor side was the old side. So it was made out of like stone. So the seats were wider. You could fit your butt on those seats a little bit better. So the home side was the newer side where it had more seating, but they were more of the, the silver bleachers. You know, my mom was like, I don't like them. I'm gonna sit on this side. So she always sit on the opposite side, on the opposing side. So I would walk the field, you know, listen to a little bit of music, and I would always go to my mom and my grandma. They'd come up to the fence and lean over. I give my mom a kiss and, you know, talk some crap with my grandma. And then I start getting to my, you know, game ritual stuff. But my mind was starting to work, and I played that in my head every home game. So what you got to do as when you go on the road, you can still have rituals. They're just not going to be your same home rituals. My son is in sports now. He's playing basketball. The first game we went Halloween. We went and played some country white boys that's about an hour and 15 minutes away in a place called Hartselle. And these little boys can ball. Like, they're just very fundamental. They country, so they loud, and they just in your face. When they get a trap, they yelling, screaming, and they dominated us, you know? So my son asked me after the game, no, my son's a pretty good athlete in everything he plays, you know? So he's a pretty good basketball player. He's almost about 6 foot, you know, with his hair, he's about 6'1". So playing guard, he's left-handed, so he can do a lot of things that some of the other kids can't do, but he got held scoreless. I've never seen him be held scoreless. And he said, I was overwhelmed, you know, just having a real talk with him. He said the crowd was loud, the boys was loud, the coach was loud. You know, I feel like the refs weren't giving us calls. What can I do when I go on the road to be better? I said, well, you know what? I got to help you, because you're reaching out to me, asking me. So I started sending him some little motivational stuff before the game. I sent him 3 points now, because he's played two other away games after that. I sent him 3 points, you know, kind of use the sandwich thing, I'd say. And when I say the sandwich method for him, you know, I give him something kind of he needs to work on, something he's great at, and then another thing he needs to work on. So it's not like I'm just saying, hey, you got to get this. So it may be like, okay, you got to rebound better this game. Last game you had 6. I need you to try to get 10. You know, second point, it may be, hey, you scored great. Just keep doing that. Then the third one may be, hey, you had 5 turnovers. You got to cut those down. So I say all that to say the coaches have to step in and get these kids ready for road mentality. Whatever they know those players better than we do. You got to know what those rituals are that they need. Some of the things that you see them doing at home, you got to take that on the road. You got to tell them, maybe if you see somebody eating Jolly Ranchers before the game, get them a Jolly Rancher. Like, you got to dig into them. You got to get your best players moving. We can't wait till the second half to get going. So that road mentality has to get better, and it 100% starts with coaching. Players have to play, and players have to be ready, but players are going to take on the mindset of their coaches. So these coaches have to get them ready, and the coaches got to be ready too. You know, they're all new. They have to get ready. You know, you leaving, you getting on the road, you leaving your family, you being on a bus, you being on a plane. You know what I'm saying? You may didn't get to sit down and drink your bourbon that night, whatever the case may be. You got to get ready for this road game. So I think I went on a little bit of a rant there,
You
but
did good.
No, I like that. I like that. And you're
it's
right.
just a lot, man. Brian, you know, I mean, shit, you know, you've been involved in those rituals and road games and home games. So I'll toss it to you and let you talk a little bit.
Yeah, you cannot approach a road game the same way you do a home game from a mentality standpoint, because when you're on the road, especially against a team that on paper is better than you, you've got to set the tone out the gate. And if you're not coming out there with that fire in your ass, ready to set that tone, it's going to be a long game.
Mm-hmm.
We've seen it at FSU. They jumped out to us 22-0. We saw it at Louisville, where it was 14-0 right out the gate, 14-3 at halftime. You know, we were struggling to kind of hang on to that, and then Will was completely broken when we came out of the locker room.
Mm-hmm.
We've got to find a way of preparing and getting the guys ready to go out the gate a lot better in these road situations. The only one I've seen us really come out with some fire was Marshall, and we crapped that away because we went ahead and went away from what was working in that game.
Mm-hmm.
But I need to see it. We need to approach these road games with that road mentality that Tally's talking about. You can't just have that same even keel mindset that you do with the home game. You got to approach it with a different kind of fire, because you got to bring a little bit more of your own juice. Because at home, the fans are going to bring the juice. You're jacked up. You got family in town. All these things that you do is what you normally do. When you hit the road, every week is different.
Mm-hmm.
So you got to be able to bring your own juice in a different way. And I haven't seen us do that, at least not consistently yet. I'm hoping that we see it this week at BC.
Well, it's a big week at BC because we say, what can we do better moving forward? Goals are still in front of us.
Mm-hmm.
The goals are still in front of us. I mean, one goal is getting more than 3 wins. We got there already. That seemed like a victory among itself to get to 4, but we still got that. But to me, what I bring on this, what we got to do to move better being forward, that team can't show up on the fucking field again this year. And I don't give a damn if it's at the road or home.
No.
Because if that team shows up against any of these last 3 opponents, we are not winning those games.
No.
We look like shit. We look like we didn't want to play.
Yep.
Now, what I hope today helps us moving better going forward. I don't know if y'all caught this in Pry's interview. Basically, Grant's back at pretty much he can play. But he said, this is Kyron's offense.
Mm-hmm.
This is Jones's offense. Basically, it's it. This is him. Maybe that's a shot to get the whole team ready. Maybe something weird happened last week in practice with Grant Wells back. We don't know that.
Right.
So, yeah. Anything else for y'all going forward that we got to do better? And I know we said this a lot, but anything sticks out?
I got to communicate in the offensive line better, because that was a big problem. Louisville brought some different types of pressure that we hadn't seen a lot this year, and we got very flustered, and it became a big problem. The biggest problem we've had holding up front since the first month of the season. So that's got to get better.
Well, I'm all for it. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. If we're doing something on offense that's working, stop trying to fix it. Just go with it. You know, we understand that Tootin is a hell of a running back. I know he may be nicked up sometimes. He's going to tell you when he can't go, but in that first half, he was moving the ball. You know, and some people say, well, we couldn't run inside. He was running where he wanted to. You know, he was coming off the tackle. He was coming between tackle and guard. He was beating people to the outside. Again, you can't have 60 yards in the first half, and then I think he may have ended the game with 50 yards. You know what I'm saying? He lost yards in the second half.
Yeah,
which is I understand that that's adjustments, but when you have a player like that, you got to at least get him going. You know, so I had a basketball coach that used to always say, weather the storm. Whenever we would play away, he coached much different than he did at home. You know, that first quarter, basketball is different than football, but he would always, you know, he'd let them go on a run, you know, because you can make up 10 points quick in basketball. You can make up 15 points quick in basketball. And he was a real, you know, military guy, you know, always was, you know, you got to do it this way. But when we were on away games, he was real calm in that first quarter. You know, he just, hey, y'all just weather the storm. They playing off emotions. It's all right. And then when that second quarter came, Coach D came out. Like he was, get your ass in gear. You know what I'm saying? He was a different coach because he understands now the butterflies are gone. The team that I coach and we practice with every day should be showing up now. And if you ain't going to show up, you're going to come sit down. So
there you go. I like that. Right. I think moving better going forward, what you just said, Tally, if you don't want to show up, go sit down regardless. All right. Well, that wraps up that. Let's put that one in the trash can, burn it. A lot of gasoline. I don't want to see any remnants of that game ever again. Before we get into Know the Enemy and the Boston College Eagles, we are going to take a quick pause from our digital partners and Main Street Pharmacy.
I can probably save you a lot of money, and I can take a lot better care of you. That's pretty much it. My name is Jeremy Counts, and I'm a pharmacist. I own and operate Main Street Pharmacy here in downtown Blacksburg. My brother's a pharmacist, I'm a pharmacist, my uncle's a pharmacist, my dad's a pharmacist. I remember he would give me M&Ms to count in little pill counters. This is just something I've always done, and I'm just lucky that what I know so well is something that I can do and feel good about it and give back to people. Pharmacies are your frontline defense. Pharmacy's job is to make sure you're getting optimal care for the lowest price possible. Also, we take the pressure off of emergency rooms. I'll tell people immediately when they need to go to the doctor, or I'll tell them if they just need a cream over the counter. If there's something that isn't commercially available, if it's something that's not available in a certain strength or a certain form or anything like that, we'll make it. Tailor-made medications. Some of those options save people a lot of money. What motivates me? I get to take care of people and live in Blacksburg. That's all I need.
As we take a quick break, we'd like to tell you about getting your free website report from our digital partner, Grassroots Digital Marketing Studio. They'll tell you how your website ranks on Google, on-site SEO, and social media. No commitment to buy anything. You can get your free report by visiting grassrootsdigitalstudio.com/free-website-report. Now back to the episode.
All right, and we are back. Know the Enemy, Boston College Eagles. As always, we start with the offense first. And Brian, let's talk about the offense ran by Steve. Hope I'm pronouncing his name right. Y'all know me and that. Shimko. What are they doing up there?
Yeah, man, we got another tight end turned quarterback coach with a dual threat transfer quarterback. So a little bit of a similarity in that regard. This one happened to have coached quarterbacks before in a limited role. But it's really interesting. This is his second year as the quarterback coach, first year OC. We got a power spread option. Pass game is really predicated on the success of that play action and run threat. So if they're not running the ball effectively, they're not going to really be able to throw the ball very much. Very similar in that regard to what we saw coming out of Syracuse. They really have to get the run game going if they're going to have any success offensively.
Yep. Hey, Tally, anything you noticed? I know you watched a little bit of that Syracuse game on Friday.
Mm-hmm.
Anything you noticed there with this offense that stuck out to you?
That offense is going to run with the quarterback. I know you're going to talk about him a little bit, but the offense doesn't scare me at all. They're typical Boston College. They're going to have some big linemen. They're going to be white, and they're going to be technical, and they're going to move some people. And you got a quarterback now with them that can run. And then they're going to have some running backs with some crazy names that look like they may be from Louisiana or something, but they're going to be big and they're going to be strong. And they're going to get 3 yards to carry. Like, it's the typical Boston College. The only thing that I didn't see from them is the fucking cowboy collar tight end that they normally have.
There you go. All right, well, let's talk about that quarterback.
Nick
That is
and him. That's the only thing that I haven't seen from that offense this year.
all right.
Tight end.
Let's talk about Thomas Castellanos. He is from Ware County down in Waycross, Georgia. He was a transfer from UCF. When he first came out back in the year of 2022, was a very high 3-star and a top 600 player. So a solid player to go to UCF. Stayed there a year, then transferred up. And this year, Brian, you're going to talk about what he does, but just look at the numbers here. 760 yards rushing, 5.2 a carry. He has 10 touchdowns. Knowing where they score, that is a lot. And as far as passing the ball, not terrible, just slightly under 58%, 1,700 yards, 7 per attempt, 12 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. And Brian, what are you seeing from it? Because Tally kind of said, I think your big lead point here.
Yeah, man, the offense goes as he goes. If he doesn't have a good game, they're not going to have a good game. He is their primary rushing threat. He leads the team in yards rushing. He's got a good arm that can make all the throws, but he's mostly likes to live in that short and intermediate range. He'll take a shot here and there, but that's not his bread and butter. And this is a guy that will throw some picks, man. He's like, I think 13-7 touchdown, 12-7. 12-7 touchdown interceptions. So he'll throw some picks. Again, everything that they do is predicated on running the football, and he will do most of that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. When he runs that ball, he's carrying it like a loaf of bread. Somebody need to punch it out.
All right.
Get him on the ground, get the ball on the ground. That's what you got to do to win.
We're going to make a note of that. Now, real quick, like he's sitting up here, he's got 700-plus yards, so he's averaging roughly about 80 a game. This team is a top 10 rushing team. They are averaging 211 a game. And, let's skip and go back to the wide receiver in a second here, Brian. But let's talk about Kyle Robichaud. Tally making fun of him over here. Tally, you know why he's got a Southern name? He's from Phoenix City, Alabama.
I didn't know that.
He is from Phoenix City, Alabama.
Did he go to Central?
Huh?
What high school did he go to? Did he go to Central?
Glenwood.
Okay, that ain't a powerhouse, but okay.
That ain't a powerhouse. No, he started at Western Kentucky. He was not ranked when he came out in 2021. Got in the portal, ranked in 88, and is having a really good season so far up there with over 560 yards rushing, 6 touchdowns, add another 80-plus in the receiving game. So, Brian, what do you see from Robichaud on tape?
I mean, he's a running back with good vision. He's kind of that typical Boston College running back, like Tally was mentioning. Man, he's a guy that runs hard, finishes hard. He doesn't really have elite breakaway speed, but that vision kind of between the tackles allows him to occasionally bust a big run just on that alone. Breaks some tackles, not a huge tackle breaker, but more of a guy that will, drag guys for a few extra yards, find the right gap, and kind of run through an arm tackle. They use him some in the screen and check down game. Not a huge threat here though. And, he's got a backmate there with Garwo. I know we haven't seen a bunch of him either that,
banged up.
Yeah, exactly. He's been banged up. So, Robichaud has been getting most of the run here lately and is taking advantage of that. Put out a pretty good campaign so far.
Yeah. And again, you kind of start adding it up. It's like it's him and it's Castellanos running the ball. It really is. They're accounting for close to 1,300 yards out of the 1,800 plus they've got. I mean, we see that. It's like, okay, don't let them beat you, but don't let this guy catching the ball beat you. And that's going to be Lewis Bond. Lewis Bond, when he came out in 2021 out of Kenwood Academy in Chicago, Illinois, an 86th ranked player. So kind of a mid-ranked player there, but having a hell of a season this year already. 35 receptions, 485 yards, 5 touchdowns. This has really been his first year where he has been a primary wide receiver up there. And thank God that man isn't here anymore.
Wish we didn't even, Robbie, you shouldn't even brought his name up.
I'm glad he did, because just think, we ain't got to talk about Zay Flowers this year.
Right.
He
Don't
catching balls for the Ravens.
Talk about Zay Flowers. Ravens looking good, by the way.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
they squirrel stomp.
Since we stole one from them, they've looked fucking unstoppable.
There you go. But let's talk about Louis Bond, because he is the team leader in receptions and yards. Brian, what is he bringing to the table that does have to make up for what Zay Jones did for years there?
Yeah, he's more of a kind of a shifty burner than he is a stick mover. We've seen him hit the big one a couple times this year. I think he had one touchdown for 42 yards or long for 42 yards. I don't know if it turned into a touchdown or not, but they'll move him around a lot in the formation. Works mostly at X and out of the slot. But he's a guy that can beat you deep. They like him on the intermediate stuff, some of the stuff over the middle. Good balance of speed and quickness. So he's definitely one that you got to watch out for when they do get the passing game going. And a lot of times they like to take those intermediate and deep shots off that play action. And if they're running effectively, that becomes more effective in the passing game as well.
All righty. Brian, did anybody else receiver-wide jump out to you? Because when I was just doing the data dives, nothing – I mean, we talked about we talked about him having 1,700 yards, and you're talking about just over a quarter of that's to Lewis. He's only completed 140 passes. That's a quarter of the passes going to Louis Bond, too. Did anybody else just jump out on tape, or was it?
Number 0, Jaden Williams. He's kind of more of their stick mover. He's got to look out. He's a bigger guy. Louis Bond is kind of their burner. He's a smaller 5'8", 188 guy. Jaden's kind of that bigger stick moving red zone threat.
All righty. We'll make a note of Jaden Williams. Now let's just talk about the offensive line here, Brian, because Tally said it reminds him of an old school Boston College offensive line where the last few years, that offensive line was trouble. Is it better than it was last year?
Better, especially run blocking. They do a good job of communicating and getting to the second level. I'd call them mid in terms of pass pro. They don't really give up a ton of sacks, but most of that's a product of the quarterback, number one, not having a high percentage of dropbacks versus stuff coming off play action. Numbers 2, just being able to escape the pressure with his legs. So those two factors are really limiting the sack count. But like I said, I wouldn't call them a very good pass pro team. They're a very average to slightly below average pass pro. But their run blocking is kind of, I'd say, higher tier. They're not as elite as the yardage that they're putting out right now, but most of that is a product of Castellanos being able to take off and make some big plays with his legs.
Well, be realistic with me here, Brian. When it comes to you talked about the sacks allowed, were there times when you were watching this tape, it was, that should be a sack, that should be a sack, that should be a sack, and he just wiggled his way out?
He did that in the Syracuse game.
There's a bunch of those moments, yeah. There's a bunch of those moments. And like I said, they don't call straight drops a lot either. So, when they do, he does have the ability to escape, but a lot of times they're calling those pass plays off of that play action. So he's getting a little bit of a cushion there with that run action.
All right, good deal. Again, just trying to paint a picture of what they may be doing, and it sounds like to me that run game, we better get back to the Pitt game through the Syracuse game in the run defense this week.
Yeah, like I said, they won't hit home runs on you, but it could look like Louisville and a bunch of gashes all game if we don't sure that thing up and tackle better.
Well, be realistic with me, though. Do they have the offensive power to get to 30 points?
No.
Okay. All right. That's. I mean, you gotta find wins, right?
I don't want to talk too much. Too much because I know how people was last week when you started.
Uh-oh. No, we did not make his microphone go to technical difficulties. Tally, get back in here.
Sorry, I left y'all hanging.
Yes, repeat what you said. We lost you.
So their running back's supposed to be banged up. Obashaw's supposed to be banged up.
That's what they're saying.
They're saying he's supposed to be banged up. So we don't know. I mean, I know that
well, hold on.
A couple of people on the.
So we need to be. Garwo hadn't played. Alex Broom Y'all see your Broom, Alex Broom, number 20. Write that number down because no one, Callie will tell you, no one out of luck. The guy who's not carrying the ball much.
Watch for Cameron Barfield too.
Cameron Barfield and Broom. All righty. Listen, you know what? And I think you wonder how much that goes into mentality too. Hey, they might have guys banged up. And then it's like, no, everybody played with one cap. All right, I want to flip over to the defensive side of the ball, boys. Led by Sean Duggan and Nazir Abdul-Rahman. They are a co-defensive coordinator unit up at Boston College. And so far this year, solid overall numbers for their total defense. They rank 46th, giving up about 350 yards a game. Definitely giving up better against the pass than the run. So, Brian, what are you seeing from this defense?
Yeah, they're a 4-3. They'll blitz some. What you see from a downline perspective, usually they'll have one guy standing up. Sometimes both DNs standing up. They'll blitz pretty regularly, but they usually do it on more obvious downs. They're not bringing different pressures, varied pressures on first and second very often. It's usually in those expected passing situations. And it's a lot of cover 3, cover 1, mixed in a little cover 6. So you're going to see those type of coverages pretty consistently from this team. Solid defense, nothing elite about them, but they're very solid kind of at, especially in their front 7.
All righty. And normally we'll start with a linebacker or we'll start with a defensive lineman. But today, Brian, I wanted to start out with one of the defensive backs because Elijah Jones is one of the country leaders in interceptions. Mm-hmm. He's got 5, which is, I think, number 6 in the country, tied for 6 in the country because there's a bunch of guys at 5, and there's only 2 guys ahead of that group with 9 and 7. He's got 25 tackles this year, so obviously seems like a pretty willing guy. He's forced a fumble, 8 pass deflections for Elijah Jones, and just a little background on him. Not heavily recruited out of high school. Not heavily recruited at all out of high school. Had offers like UMass, Connecticut, Coastal Carolina, from the state of New York, ranked as an 86 in the class of 2018. So he's been around a while. And, Brian, why does he have so many picks?
Because he's a ball hawk. He's their boundary corner. Shout out. And he's a ball hawk, man. He's really able to hold up well in zone. He's also active in their run game, so he'll come up and make some tackles there as well. Really thrives in man coverage, though. And really the only weakness he has is that he can get fooled with a double move. So if you throw that on him, sometimes you can get guys open down the field for a big play. But, he's a guy that whether it's man or zone, he can make an interception happen. He's definitely a playmaker and a ball hawk. And, we led with the cornerback here. Number 1, he's a boundary corner. Number 2, I mean, this is our 4th year doing this podcast. Y'all didn't need to hear about fucking Vinny DePalma one more fucking time.
Or there was one other one on there. Who was it? Hold on. Cam Arnold. Cam Arnold also graced it twice. Arnold graced it twice. So I had to mix that up and pull somebody else. And then, again, you see a guy that has 5 interceptions, and you look at where he ranks, like, you got to go look at him. That's one. As soon as I saw the numbers, I'm like, I don't care if he's got like 4 in one game or 3 in one game. That guy's doing something right in that case.
He had 2 against Georgia Tech, and he had 2 against Syracuse. Yep. And Syracuse's quarterback. So Syracuse's quarterback was just throwing the ball to him. So
that first one was awful.
He's the worst quarterback I ever watched play.
He recognized the one-on-one coverage, but so Jones had inside position, and he threw it almost to the damn middle of the field. Like, he gave his receivers 0 chance to get there.
And you know what's crazy is because, and I know we're getting off a little bit,
that's
but
right.
Syracuse's backup quarterback was like a 4-star, maybe like a 92 guy.
Yeah.
Coming out of high school, went to Florida, transferred from Florida to Syracuse. Horrible. Maybe it was one game, but he was the worst game that I've ever seen.
He looked like dog shit. It was bad.
I think he threw 4 picks. He may have threw 5.
So what you're telling me is they got their confidence really high against a really bad quarterback.
Yeah. I mean, we knocked we knocked Schrader out, so Schrader didn't play.
We messed him up.
Yeah, he didn't play, and their backup quarterback didn't do them no justice. Shit, man. And Boston College.
The bad thing is, I watched the end of that game. As shitty as Syracuse played,
That's
they
what I was
still
just
could
about
have
to.
tied the game
Yep.
up.
Yep.
How the hell you force 4 turnovers? You playing against a terrible backup, and you can't win by more than 7?
And I think Robichaud got hurt whenever he got killed by that, either the safety or the outside linebacker.
Okay.
Yep.
When he got hit, and then they looked at it for targeting, but he fumbled the ball. I think that's when he got banged up. But again, that's just me digging and looking at stuff. We ain't gonna talk about it till they come on the field.
There you go.
And hell, sometimes it don't matter with Virginia Tech. Like you said, I remember fucking playing Georgia Tech when they had that stupid ass offense. They'd bring somebody out of the stands and put a jersey on them, and they rush for 200 yards. So
if they could run, they were going to run against us,
They were
man.
going to run against us. All right, let's talk about a couple of them. Like I said, we're avoiding the linebacker room because go look at the old episodes. Brian will give you a little breakdown on De Palma and Arnold, who are 2 of their top linebackers. Let's talk about George Rooks, though, Brian. And I want to talk about George Rooks. George Brooks was a pretty highly recruited guy when he came out of high school. A composite 4-star, a composite top 200 or top 300 player. He originally committed to Michigan, then transferred to Boston College from there. And even when he transferred, he was still considered a pretty high prospect, still ranked at an 87. And so far this year, not having great numbers, but again, you start doing a little reading, and it's like, okay, he's kind of a key part of this offense because all he's got this year is 22 tackles, sack and a half, 1 forced fumble. But Brian, what is he doing that really caught our eye while we wanted to talk about him?
Active and strong hands. This guy he pops on the film as soon if you're looking at technique, he just pops right away. Like everything he does is very sound. Does a great job penetrating the line of scrimmage. Doesn't get moved in the double team. Knows when to get down, crawl through the double team. I mean, he does everything very well. And he's deceptively quick. So sometimes, if you're not communicating properly, he'll slip in the backfield, can make a play there, tackle for loss. I'd say he's better against the run than he's not so much of a pass rusher, but he will impact there as well. But he's definitely a guy that you have to account for every damn time you line up because he will make some plays.
Well, first of all, Robbie had to chime in real quick on that.
So they forced 6 turnovers and still lost. That's a bad way to go out, man.
That's tough. That hurts the heart, man.
That does hurt the heart, man. So as good as Rooks is, because Rooks is on the inside, he is a D tackle, right? Is he 3 primarily, or does he kind of move around a little bit?
He moves around, but he's primarily 3.
Okay. So we could see him all over the inside of the line, which is very interesting to see. I go from there and I go to the one of the guys on the outside here, and that is Donovan Izaruku. Yep, I butchered that.
Close enough.
I apologize, nothing about it.
I wouldn't even try it.
You wouldn't even try. 39 tackles so far, 2 sacks, 5 tackles for loss, forced fumble, pass deflection. So obviously, every time I see a defensive lineman with a pass deflection, it tells me they get their hands up. I hate that so much. Hate it so much unless we're doing it. But again, a very, very under-recruited guy out of high school. In the class of 21, like Bucknell, Columbia, Elon, Fordham, Harvard, Holy Cross, who almost beat BC just a few weeks ago. Kid is from the state of New Jersey, 83 when he came out. And Brian, he's coming off the edge. Are you going to be worried if he's lined up to the right side of our line?
I mean, he's got pretty good speed. He's not necessarily your prototypical pass rusher, but I like his speed. It's really more he's got great instincts in the running game. He knows where to be. He kind of gets a good feel of what the offensive line is trying to do and how he can kind of get by. He's really not shedding a lot of blocks. He's not using his hands in the same way that Rooks is. But he's just really good at kind of avoiding those blocks, using his instincts, getting in position where he can get those tackles for loss and things like that. So that's really his bread and butter. He's not a good pass rusher. He's just average, but he is an impact player in the running game. So that's something that we'll have to pay attention to.
All right. So let's talk about the Hokies because we've got quite a few things here. And Tally, I'm going to let you lead it off here. What's going to be your big key this week for the Hokies?
Kind of what we talked about earlier, man. I mean, we just need to see the team that we've been seeing at home. You know, we need to go in. Listen to Baja Men before the game. Fuck it, let the dogs out. You know, come on now. We got to go in here and we got to play. There's nothing to hold back for. There's nothing that we need to be thinking about. You know, we keep talking 1-0. Don't worry about the next game. Go win this game. This is the game. There's no more games. Go win this one. Throw everything you got to throw at it. Don't hold anything back. Don't go in there with that pussyfooting around, letting people push you around. If they get in your face, you get back in their face. I mean, go play football. Go play Virginia Tech football. All of the stuff that we had seen us doing, just go do that. Build on that.
All right. Brian, what's some of the stuff you've got?
Counterpunch quickly. Because if we don't come out and we're not let the dogs out the gate there, as Tally mentioned, we need to make sure that if our script isn't working, if we go out there and we have a bad offensive series, or we go out there and we let them, run 12 plays and get a touchdown, ball up the game plan, get to something different quicker. Let's figure it out within 1 or 2 drives instead of 4 to 5 drives or 6 or 7 drives. Let's figure out what they're doing. Let's be quicker with those adjustments, and let's not let them dictate the terms that whole first, second quarter. At some point, we need to start dictating the terms on the road and make them have to play our game.
100%. I got a couple here. If y'all want to chime in with a couple I wrote down, I think y'all probably feel them. My big one is do not give up sacks at this team. No. Do not. I swear to God, if they have more than one, heck, I'm going to get mad at one. This team has 11 sacks all year. APR has 9 by himself. They are 123rd in the country. Do not give up fucking sacks. No. And y'all, we see how it always turns our team up. My second big one, what we did at Syracuse, and I know Castellanos is a different runner, clog the escape lanes. Mm-hmm. Garrett Schrader didn't know what to do when he didn't have an escape lane. Mm-hmm. Castellanos is going to do the same thing. We get those escape lanes and he's chucking the ball. It's not going to be 1. It's not going to be 2. He's going to throw 3 picks. Mm-hmm. Anything else y'all got?
No, you hit it perfect, man. When you talk about the not giving up sacks and like Brian said earlier, their quarterback is what their offense is going to run through. As he goes, they go. Clog those lanes up. Let's go in here, play Virginia Tech football. Let's get back home with a win.
Yep, and I'll chime in the last one. Get them behind the 6, man. Let's get some tackles for loss. Let's get them down in distances where Castellanos has to be a drop back quarterback and not a dual threat running quarterback with the option off that play action. If we can get them in obvious passing situations, we can tee off, we can stay in those rush lanes, we can get them off the field.
And the one point what Tally said with those tackles for losses, when you get them 3 yards and you slam them behind the line of scrimmage, let them know about it.
Yeah, don't help them up.
Let them know about it. Don't help them up, walk away, and, don't get the penalty because y'all know we'll scream at somebody.
Don't stand over them. We've already had one of those.
Don't do that.
Just walk away and shake your head and be like, All right. So let's move on. We got our predictions. We got big screeners presented by Prize Picks daily fantasy app, where you make entries based on player projected outcomes. I actually looked at some basketball this week. Shout out Jason Long. I wonder how much he'll do. And I looked at assists because on tomorrow night, Boston and Philly's playing. And so I'm looking over here. They got Jason Tatum at 4 assists. He ain't getting 4 assists. That man trying to go for 40 tomorrow night. And it was one more I got here, my second one. Where'd it go? Oh, shoot. Where'd it go? I'm mad about this. It was a one I was like, that's the one I'm going to bet on. I'm efforting here. Hold on. I'm sorry, y'all. This really
Nah,
makes
you
me
good.
mad. I should have clicked on them both, and I didn't click on the second one here. Oh, Russell Westbrook. They're playing Brooklyn. 5 assists. No, that man's going for at least 8 tomorrow night in Brooklyn. So over Russell Westbrook assists, under Jason Tatum assists with prize picks. Our sponsor for this segment. We'll match any deposit up to $100 when you use BC Picks prize code, QR code. I'll let Brian pull it up here.
Yeah, we're sharing it now here.
Boop, right there. Easy to go. All right. I didn't get a chance to calculate last week's. It won't good because Oklahoma lost. We all picked Oklahoma and they had points. Well, I think we all got Washington right. It was not pretty. It was not pretty. You should have faded the Boundary Corner podcast last week. And I don't know about this week. Let's talk about let's talk about this game, boys. Brian, I'll let you lead it off here. How you feel as we I got small.
I did get small.
How you feeling? By the way, if y'all haven't been paying attention out there, this line started at 4.5 2 days ago. It has swung 6 points in 2 days. I've never seen anything like that.
Yeah. That's
You
crazy.
don't see lines swing 6 points. You seen
They got some people hurt, man.
All right.
They got to have some people hurt.
Robichaud must not be going, man.
Shut up.
Well, again, this is just board talk. They're saying Robichaud and Broom's hurt.
All right. We'll see. All right, Brian, what's your prediction for this game?
I got the Hokies. Winning. This is the game where we got to nut up or shut up because, at some point, this is the type of team that you got to go out there and beat every time you play them. I got the Hokies winning 27-17.
All righty. I'm going to go next and let Tally close out. What are you doing with that screen, man? You are messing me up. If I was drunk, I'd be all screwed up.
We're good now. It's settled. I don't know what the hell was
right.
going on, but we're good now.
All right. So, Brian, I like the nut up or shut up. That's a great one here. And this is truly one of the mid-ACC teams. We've beaten the bad. We have. We've beaten 3 of the bad. This is truly one of the mid. They're 3-2. They're 6-3 overall. They lost to Northern Illinois. They should have lost to Holy Cross. I would like to see us really blow them out. I don't think we quite blow them out, but I think we win this game. I think at the fourth quarter, Callie's able to call us and breathe. Tech 28, Boston College 16. Tally, what are you thinking?
You know what, man? Starting it out, I said we're going to beat them by 14 points. We're going to go up there. Maybe it was good for us to get our heads beat in so we would have a little bit of different mindset going up there. We're going to go up there and we're going to show them who's boss. I ain't going to say that, though. Right here on the BCP big screeners, I'm going to say Boston College. I hope they put my face up in the locker room and say, this motherfucker picks us to lose. I'm picking Boston College to win. I hope I'm bulletin board material. And everybody jumps on me on Twitter because I'm picking Boston College. But I'm picking Boston College. You know why? Because I seen us get our fucking ass kicked last week, and I don't think nobody was mad about it. So, coaching staff, prove me wrong. Go up there and show people you can win on the road. Go up there and show people you got some nuts.
There you go. All righty. I don't know if you got something from Shelton. I know he said Tech.
We got Tech.
All right. Shelton
no score prediction.
No score prediction, just Tech. Shelton also was out in the Midwest for the better part of this weekend, so it's luckily we were able to get in touch with him at all.
Shelton went from under the weather to on the road in Tulsa. So
he moving it. He moving and grooving.
All righty, let's roll it up here and let's get to our big screeners. Lots of fun games this weekend. Lots of implications. By the way, y'all, I know I did not get a chance to see the playoff picture come out tonight. Y'all imagine a year from now, and y'all, we hope the Hokies are in these conversations next year, but legitimately, I think anybody with a number, even 20, like early 20s, if they went out next year, you got a shot to go play for a national title. And everybody's sitting here, it's like, this isn't going to help the sport. It's watering down the sport. Brian, what's the line from Shawshank Redemption?
Hope, man.
Hope. It's a dangerous thing, and what it's going to do is keep us watching the TV closer. But let's start Ole Miss, Georgia. This is Tally's big screener of the week. Georgia laying 10.5. What are we thinking, Tally?
I think I'm gonna go Georgia, man. You know, I kept leaning towards going Ole Miss because I do like some of the stuff that Lane Kiffin does, but I just think Georgia. I don't think Georgia's gonna get really tested into the SEC game, the SEC championship. Excuse me, SEC championship is where I think they may falter. I think they're gonna take this game.
All righty. What did
Shelton rode right with you, Tally.
He rode with you, and I'm riding against. Nope, Brian. You with or against?
I'm going the other way as well. This game is going to come down to the wire. Lane's got them playing pretty good. I feel like this game is going to be like a 6 or 7 point victory for Georgia, but Ole Miss is going to give them all they want.
Yep, okay. I'm with Brian on this. I think Ole Miss is going to give them all they want. Missouri was able to move the ball on them, and I know that's a chance for Georgia to fix it, but Lane's a mastermind at that. Now, they're going to give up some points, but I think, Brian, it's like a 6 or 7 point game. 10.5 is too much to lay here. All righty. This is my big screener of the week. Yep, it's at 12 at the same time. I'll be going multi-TV potentially. Penn State, Michigan. Michigan laying 5. With all the shit that's going on at Michigan right now with the Connor Stallions, the potential they're saying they might fire Harbaugh. By the way, what are they really doing that none of these other teams are doing? Realistically,
I don't know, man. They just something to
talk
about.
You know what it is? I love what somebody said, and I'm not trying to defend him. What did Harbaugh say about the TV money? You know what he said about TV money?
What did he say?
Ago? Players deserve part of that TV money.
Oh yeah, they got.
Somebody don't like that.
They got to get him out of there.
Yeah, get him out of here. But in this game, it is in Happy Valley. It is a noon kick. I do not know who's going to win. And when I don't know who's going to win, give me the home team. Give me some points. I'll take Penn State. Callie, what about you on this one?
Man, I never like taking Penn State in anything, but I'm going to take Penn State. Just like you said, home team, they got a lot going on. They got the points. Give me Penn State.
All righty. What's Shelton? Shelton's
got Michigan. And you know what? He's right. He's right. Harbaugh is going to shut out the noise. They're going to play like the top 3, top 2 team they are in the country. They're going to take care of Penn State.
By more than 5?
By more than 5. That's what take care of means.
Okay, we're going to see.
What's the score? How big is it? Is he going to lay it on them?
I don't think he's going to lay it on them, but I think it will be about a 10-point win.
10-point win. All right. Let's roll to the next one. Brian, your pick for the week.
Mizzou and Tennessee. You know, Mizzou showed me a few things there with that Georgia game last week. I know I kind of rode with them a little bit on that line because that was a kind of crazy line. Tennessee only getting 1 here. Give me Mizzou.
All righty. I'm going complete opposite of you because they were in a war against Georgia. Most teams that play Georgia do not win the week after. It just seems that way because Georgia beats the crap out of people. And with a 1 point, basically a pick'em game, give me Tennessee.
Well, I mean, both of y'all are pretty knowledgeable. I don't never pick right, so I just looked at what Brian picked. He was the last one that did good, and I said, I'm gonna go with Brian. I think Mizzou is gonna be pissed. I mean, they had chances in that game against Georgia. Georgia's probably the best team in college football, and you throw a pick to a defensive lineman and a couple other things, and game gets blown open. So I think they're gonna come in pissed off, man. I got to go Mizzou.
All right,
Shelton followed it up there with Tennessee, so Shelton is riding with Curtis on this one.
Ride with me on this one. All right, we got a couple more games here. Let's go out west because it seems like we always go out west for at least one. USC, Oregon. Oregon laying 15 points. USC coming off that heartbreaker against Washington, which was I watched a lot of that game. That was a entertaining game to watch. This is Sheldon. So what's Sheldon saying on this one? Is he laying or taking?
Shelton is out there taking Oregon here.
All right.
And
Let
you
you
know
roll.
what? Hell yes. Hell yes. I think that game might have finally broken USC.
Yeah.
That
Washington?
UW game. Yeah.
Caleb Williams was crying. It looked like they broke him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that team is finally broken. I think you're going to see some. I mean, it's not going to be a blowout, but I think it's going to be like a 17 or 20 point.
And then
victory.
they fired a defensive coordinator too.
They did, but it
Yeah.
don't matter. It don't matter whoever the defensive coordinator. I don't believe Lincoln Riley coaches anything but offense. I don't think he steps into a room as a head coach. If he wasn't given superior talent at Oklahoma and USC, he would have been fired a long time ago. Oregon by 24.
Curtis said Lincoln Riley's on fraud alert.
I was gonna say Oregon by 21. So
all right, me and Tally on the same page.
Yeah.
They blowing the doors off of them.
We finally riding across the board. First one.
All right, last one. Classic ACC rivalry game. Wide right 1, wide right 2. All those good games back in the 90s. Some wars, some fights. Florida State, Miami, 14.5. That is a lot of points. Brian, what are you saying on this one?
Give me them points, man. I think that Florida State is going to blow the doors off this team. I think Miami, much like USC, is kind of broken right now.
Mm.
And I feel like the last few weeks of the season, they've really kind of fallen back to where we thought they would be from Jump Street there. And I think they've been broken a little bit. And I think FSU is going to bust it off on them a little bit. I think about 17, 18 point win here. So they'll cover that 14.5.
All right. I'm up next on this one. This one's at the Doak, so it will be loud. It will be energized. And I think Florida State's going to win the game. I think they're going to win by like 14. So if this was 13.5, I would have went the other way. Right. That hook is what got me.
Curtis said the hook brought him back.
Brought me back, baby. The hook brought me back. But if Cristobal can't get them up to play this game, because they looked flat against NC State. They looked so flat. If he can't get them up for this game, he might not have a job come December.
Yeah, I kind of feel like Curtis said, if it would have been just 13.5, I probably would have took Florida State. But I don't know. I know Florida State's wide receiver room's been banged up. Neither one of the top wide receivers played last week. I don't know if they go this week. I do know Miami has the athletes to play with them. I still think Florida State wins, but I think it may be about 13 or 14 and not 15. So I'll take Miami on this.
And Shelton is riding with me on this one with Florida State.
Very, very entertaining. Only one outright and multiple. No three-way agrees.
If I was anybody watching Boundary Corner, I would put my money on the Trojans this week.
Yes,
because all of us bet on Oregon. You better go the other way.
Go the other way. Like we agree, it's not.
Hey,
good.
we were right on Dub last week though, so we
were
can take
right.
That. We can take that to the bank.
They got a Heisman win on their team. I guess USC got a Heisman win on their team too. So
true, man. That's true. All right, boys. Anything broken in the last hour and 90 minutes here?
My heart thinking about that last week game against Louisville.
Yeah, I see that. My heart won't broken. As soon as I watched the first few plays and the way we looked,
he was like, "Let's do something else. Let me go play with the kids."
Well, the thing is, a couple neighbors came over, watched it in the garage with the kids. So, when he got 21, it was just kind of like, we all have done it, right?
Yeah,
we've all had the coping where you see we ain't gonna win this game. I'm gonna go ahead and start my coping now.
Mm-hmm.
Get it out by the time dinner started. My wife made a delicious potato soup last Saturday night. Hit the spot. The game was over. I was eating it. I was like, this tastes great. There's a couple good games on late. Gonna have myself a nice Coors banquet.
Not a sponsor.
Not a sponsor. They won't join if you can. But Brian, we got Tally. I won't let Brian tell you what he had to do because he was in Blacksburg at Hokie House. Brian, what'd you do?
So I cut it off as soon as we got up or we got down 14. I was like, all right, let's head back to the hotel. Head back to the hotel. We had dinner reservations at 7 at 622 North. I was like, yeah, I'm not gonna interfere with that potential there. Let's go back to the hotel. Let's hang out, get showers, get ready for dinner.
I can still watch a game. This won't be in reach of any significant amount of alcohol.
I will not be consuming alcohol. I will not take this any further than I've already taken it. So
yeah,
it's the way we do it. All right, well, boys, that does wrap up this episode of the Boundary Corner Podcast, brought to you by Main Street Pharmacy in Blacksburg, Virginia. I'm Curtis Wilson.
I'm Brian Siegler.
Jonathan Talley.
Go visit our website, boundarycornerbt.com, to listen to all of our episodes. Check the merchandise shop out while you're there. Check out Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. Subscribe to the YouTube account, which might have broken 300 this week. It was pretty close last week. Favorite podcast source. We're on all of them: Spotify, Amazon, Apple Podcasts. As always, we let Jason play us in, play us out. Check him on his website, jasonlongmusic.com, where it links to all of his music on Apple, Spotify, his YouTube, and his Facebook pages. We always thank y'all for listening, watching out there. And as always, let's go.
Hokies.